see how many folks we got in. We'll give it. Hello, everybody. This is LK. I'm with Venkman here. We're doing something new here a little bit since E is out on assignment. We'll say, and he'll be away for a few days. It was something. Oops.
What's up?
That's what I get. That's what I get for having the YouTube on as well. So I can
you heard yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so hello everybody. So this is going to be an anime chat. Hoping maybe one or two other people will drop in the course. We'll probably go maybe about an hour or so, because what I wanted to focus on, first off, with all the negative stories and what have you in both comics and then also a lot of the pop culture we love, the one thing where I really don't have any negative feelings is in anime. For one thing, it's because they're almost always new properties, or at least new properties to me. I don't have a preconceived notion for it. And so there's never a time where I'm going to be hate watching an anime. And so that's one of the joys. Because they are for the most part all just original, or certainly like based off of manga or whatever. But it's not some super long running story.
Well, to be fair, I don't read comics.
Well, and see, that's the problem. I mean, I do, because I've got characters that I've loved, that I read, back in the 80s and in 90s. And
you'll never see me reading any Zeb Wells Spider-Man. I was done. I'm done with that. I mean, I'll read Ultimate Spider-Man because it's actually been doing well with Hickman, but I am not going to touch the Amazing Spider-Man title until Marvel burns down and then it relaunches with like the original people. Like, I just don't want any of that crap.
Yeah,
it's a scam. You get in like, we're gonna give this guy, Spencer K. Man, MJ are getting back together. They're dating again and all this stuff. Blah blah. I'll go for 20 issues, and we're done with that. Thanks for the money. Now we're gonna go back to shit you don't want.
Yeah. Well, so the great thing is we can set all that aside for another day on another channel on another stream, because we're here to talk about anime, and so I'll quickly...
and the creepy old men that watch it, right?
Well, yeah. I mean,
anime.
I'll quickly give you my bona fides. I mean, I was watching anime before Americans knew before I knew what an anime was. I mean, I grew up watching Voltron and Speed Racer, as a kid on, weekday afternoons after school. And then probably, the first time that I really knew or heard the term anime was probably around the time when I first saw Akira.
Probably 90s for me, at least.
Yeah.
Late 90s.
Yeah, it would have been, for me, it would have been like, mid 80s or so, and then you would start to see those, you would look in the animation sections at your Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, or whatever your local video store was, and start watching those. But then of course, kind of like everything, I kind of faded out a little bit, came back starting probably mid late 90s. So basically kind of like coming back in my 20s, in two shows that were definitely, that really hit me and really kind of brought the, kind of like the love of anime for me, was kind of two shows. Certainly probably not a lot of people have heard of today. One was a show called Witch Hunter Robin, which was about this young girl who was, who had this, adult sidekick, and kind of like she was a witch, and she was working with an order within the church to stop other magic users that plague things. And then of course Wolf's Rain, which was a fantastic anime back in the day, and then basically kind of watched off and on from then through Toonami and the stuff on the Sci-Fi Channel and things like that. And then really picked up, in the last, 10 years. I mean, certainly, I've had my Crunchyroll account, and what's funny is over the last, certainly 2 to 3 years, for me, anime has become my new network television. When you look at the breakdown in seasons, I usually wind up watching between 5 to 10 shows in that, that period of season, and I hardly watch network television more. I'm more excited to, flip on. Sorry, folks, for anybody who's offended out there, flip on my Crunchyroll account and see what the latest thing is on there. So, Venkman, what's your history with anime?
Well, finally, it's been 3 minutes now. For me, Toonami. That's my introduction to anime. Although I do remember picking up Golden Boy on VHS and stuff, back in the late 90s. And then Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, Gundam Wing was actually my first anime I watched. So that got me into that, and I started going into Suncoast. I was like, dang, they got some cool stuff here. Then I discovered Dragon Ball was being aired on TV in the morning, so I started watching that, got into that, and Dragon Ball Z through my high school years. So, like you said, like late 90s for me, and then it's just went exploded. Gungrave, Elfen Lied, High School DxD, High School of the Dead, and what was it? Fooly Cooly.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many, especially because Cartoon Network's Toonami around the 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever hour they did was awesome because I could watch Batman Superman, and then flip over to Toonami and watch Gundam Wing. And I forgot what the other one was on at the time too, but I remember watching high school. I had Inuyasha. The girls were Inuyasha, it's such a great show. And then what was it? Sailor Moon was the other one that's kind of people were talking about. So I started getting to that. I finally went back and finished up all Inuyasha. Such a long freaking series. I'm currently finishing up Yu Yu Hakusho. That's the other series. So that just got a Netflix live adaptation, which actually was pretty decent. It cut out the tournament, but hey, it was fairly decent. It wasn't like a Yule Bowl movie. Full on Melkus was out there. I wasn't really into that, but I had friends that did. Trigun, as Jim started bringing up too. Trigun, love that series. They just relaunched that. Rurouni Kenshin, this got their 2023 relaunch, which has actually been cool too as well. There's so many. Black Lagoon
Black Lagoon is fantastic. I caught that later on in DVDs actually. I think that was that was one of the things where Netflix really kind of brought back my love of anime too, because for those of you who may not remember, Netflix started out as a DVD service.
Yes.
And I was fortunate enough to live in an area that had the distribution center was basically 1 day away. So there was a point in time where I could, go online, had my list of all the DVDs I wanted. Something would arrive, I'd watch it, stick it back in the mail, and within 2 days, I would have more animes back.
I always hated those bags they give you, the little things in there. Like they would perforate it and you carefully don't accidentally tear it off. The glue part, I'm like, oh crap, how do I gotta close this now? And then I just returned. I had second disc or second season of Perfect Strangers for about 2 years. I owned it, and then finally,
when I moved out of California, cleaning out, I wound up finding two Netflix discs that I never returned. One of them was the movie The Brothers Grimm. So it is what it is. But I went through a lot of different anime seasons. That was how I watched I think Nausea, Blitz Tactics, Nausicaa, Princess Nine, and just a whole bunch of stuff.
Suncoast was crazy though. Do you remember just go walking to Suncoast? They had the box sets. I got them was it Gundam Z, the huge box set that has a little little figurines of the mobile suits, and they're like they're sharper pencil sharpeners. I was just like, why would it be a pencil? Okay, whatever. But I looked it up because I sold it being an idiot because I was still in my early 20s. I was like, I don't need it. I watched it, so I sold the box set. I did keep the little figurines though, but I sold it all, and then I went going, I wonder how much that box is if I get it again. It's over $200. I was like, I sold it for $60.
Yeah,
I should have held on to it.
Well, and we're both of the age, we're now, all the people now are used to just, going into video store and just getting the whole volume.
What's a video store?
Yeah, well, or Best Buy, Walmart, whatever. And getting the whole thing in one package. Whereas there was one post Christmas where Best Buy online had this great sale, and I got the entire Neon Genesis collection half off, and got the entire Cowboy Bebop collection half off. And by collection, that means I have a box set that is about this big that has 10 discs in it. Like for Neon Genesis, it's actually out there.
I did
that was how Japan used to sell the anime. So. Yeah, fun times. I know Jim Sorensen saying, he misses the late night G4 anime sessions. That
I just miss G4 TV like it used to be. That was what a day that was. Or just go. You basically go to work, whatever you do, get home and watch Attack of the Show. And just G4 TV, all that stuff. It was fun, man. I miss simple times where nobody was focused on being offended and making you pay for being offended. Suncoast, man. I love Suncoast. I got my first credit card when I turned 18, so I could get, and I was buying stuff at Sam Goody and Suncoast. So if you they were literally in the mall. Suncoast was above, and then below Sam Goody. I'm like, so I would go into Sam Goody, get my CDs. I'm like, hey, look, they got anime there too. And then it dawned on me, wait, they're the same company.
Well, I can show you. Actually, I can show you real quickly here. A Suncoast purchase back in the day.
I was gonna say you have a Suncoast T-shirt. Used to work there.
Where is it?
Yeah, I still remember going into Suncoast because it was during my when I had a black shirt on. I had khaki pants back in the early 2000s. Everybody had khaki pants, and this old lady's like, "Oh, do you work here?" I'm like, "Not really," but I showed her what she needed to find. Because it never failed. Whenever you walk into Suncoast, it'll only be one person working, and they'd never be up by the counter. So you there's an alarm that goes off if you steal something, but that's it. So
where is it? Well, I found it. Oh, there it is.
I remember that Dragon Ball Z was out. Then you had Bleach.
Here's a couple of examples.
The wall scrolls. Oh, that calendar. I'm guessing.
Ghost in the Shell Laserdisc, folks.
Oh, Laserdisc. I don't remember seeing that in Suncoast. It must have been early Suncoast.
This was how I first saw Ghost in the Shell, and fell in love with it.
See, I saw it on VHS.
Yeah, and then this was for folks that might remember the Virgin Megastores. This was, of course, when they were closing out. Volume 1 of Speed Racer that has 2 whole cartoons on the disc. So that gives you an idea.
Yeah, I miss Suncoast. Suncoast was way better than. Now we're stuck with GameStop. If you have GameStop, you want to know. But look at one of my comic book stores has been around since the late 90s, and one half is manga anime, the other half is comic book stuff. Yeah. So it's like the best of both worlds, pretty much. I can get older stuff from either side. And they always have manga. Like right now, they have a punch card. He's like, hey, it's like, oh, you're interested? It's free. If you get this, you get whatever percentage off your next manga sale. If you get all the punch card, I was like, I really don't need this anymore because when I did, it was like when I was 16, Because now, like I said, going in looking at manga, I was like, I'm gonna be turning 40 within a year, and I just feel kind of weird going over by the. I consider manga the kids section. Hey, you check out this manga, kid. I can't do it anymore.
Oh yeah, no, it's I'll admit this. Still, when I go to the bookstores, I will peruse the manga I don't look at anybody while I'm
I
looking
know
at
you're like,
sections, but yeah, but it's amazing to me how it's taken over. So, and for those that were curious, yeah, so the retail price at Virgin for this, and again, go back, this is probably late 90s, early 2000s, maybe
$40.
$34.95.
Ah, okay.
But I got it for 75% off. So, that's why I bought it. But yeah, just the first two episodes of Speed Racer are on this disc, and probably episode 1 is on side A and episode 2 is on side B.
It was an import, right?
No, it's not an import.
Good.
No, this was licensed through FHE. But yeah, so I mean, what people probably don't know or remember is there were two types of laser discs. One side had higher quality, but you could only get a maximum of 30 minutes on each side. The other one had slightly lower quality, but it was compressed, so you could get up to an hour on each side. Which meant that if you had a 2-hour plus movie, it came in 2 discs.
Aren't we supposed to go down? Aren't we supposed to shrink down to size where like a micro disc and then work our way back up to the laser disc again?
Yeah, but that's why Ghost in the Shell has 2 discs. But the artwork usually on the covers were great. Yeah, Undead Quinn, I'm not sure how rare the laser disc is. I mean, I still have my copies. I've been meaning to try and get my laser disc back and playing. I've gotta fix something. But hey, we're here to talk about this current 2024 season. And so, I mean, rather than, just dive into a general kind of anime discussion, I thought it'd be more fun just talking about the fact of what we've seen so far in 2024. So, for anybody who's not sort of familiar, the way that Japan breaks up anime season, there's basically 4 seasons: winter, spring, fall, or summer and fall.
Trying to think what I've watched that came out in 2024, because a lot of my stuff I was watching was towards the end of last year.
Yeah. And so I pulled up the always good handy here, my anime list. And I highlighted let's see here, make this a little bit bigger, folks can see it. I highlighted the shows from the Winter 24 schedule, which basically ran from essentially January to March. And yes, Undead Quinn, I would consider myself an elder weeb. Well, I guess the way I'll put it this way is I'm a big anime fan, but I'm not necessarily detailed oriented. I watch the shows that I like to watch, but I'm not real big on, if you quiz me on directors or voice actors, things like that. That's where there's other people that have a whole nother level. I'm a big casual fan is what you would
I will say I'm slightly less casual because I do go follow voice actors that I like. And I could because I follow the English dub. That's the reason I know. And then because a lot of times
that's it too.
But I watch both. I watch English and subbed.
So I prefer the subs. I mean, I don't have a visceral dislike of dubs, but I just like hearing the original voice actors that are chosen for the show. To me, they're the voices that define it.
And I hear you now that they're doing the fake translations, and I don't trust some of the English dubs because with the whole the whole kickback thing. I've been going and just watching and seeing the subs and how much is different from Funimation, trying to basically alter it,
Yeah.
But
yeah. So what I wanted to do here was not necessarily talk about every show that came out for the winter season or shows that are going to come out in the spring season, but basically, ones that I've watched and enjoyed. Certainly, Venkman chime in, with shows that you've watched. And then also the kind of the second part of the video highlighting stuff that's coming up. The spring season actually starts this week. And so these are shows, to definitely look forward to here for April, May, and June. So, no particular order, but I'm going to start off highlighting 2 shows that were probably my favorites of this past season. Both of them actually were continuations from the fall of last year. The first one here, and of course I'm going to butcher a lot of these names. I know them more from the English. The English name. This is Free and Beyond Journey's End. This has just been an absolutely fantastic show. You can see, how well regarded it is from, the anime community here. But the basic story is you've got this, elfin mage, wizard, however you want to call it, magic user. She has a lifespan into, the hundreds of years. And so, 80 plus years ago, she joined this quest of heroes to defeat the Demon King. And, they did. And now, decades later, she's, basically going back and trying to reconnect with those heroes. And what she doesn't necessarily understand initially is that, well, all the other people she was with, well, two were human and one was a dwarf, and have much shorter lifespans. So the hero, the true hero of the party, Himmel, has passed away. Then we see the older priest, and what happens is that she winds up basically joining and kind of creating a new party with Fern and Stark, and Fern is basically was being mentored by the now old priest Hyder, and Stark was being mentored by the dwarf warrior. And so now they have become her part of her party. And basically the quest right now is she is going to the Northlands to basically visit the gravesite to see, because when you get up there, one of the things is that you're supposed to be able to connect with person that you love. And so you've got that part of the story, but what really makes this just an incredible show is the characters. And really the theme throughout the show is because you get flashbacks to the earlier times when she was in the prior party, and as she's basically kind of re-experiencing things, it's kind of the classic case of she's got the opportunity to understand what she missed the first time around, in terms of how Himmel really truly felt for her, and what he was trying to show her, and the relationships, and coming to grips with that, and then being able to kind of pass that along to Fern. And the show does just an amazing job of terms of the characterization, and you're watching the characters mature and not only develop their skills, but develop their lives as they go through. And as it says there, yeah, she begins to regret taking their presence for granted, because she was in her lineage young, but again, to her a year is like a day, and she didn't understand it then, but she's growing to understand it now. And so you have the second part, I guess, of the first season. In this past season, the majority of it, certainly the back half of it, was taken up with this trial to become a first class mage, which at the time, because there's rumblings of the Demon King coming back, the pass to the Northern Lands has been closed off, and only a first class mage is allowed to pass. So both Frian and Fern, who has been mentored as a mage, entered this competition basically, and it was a fantastic arc for the story. I know the manga is super popular. I've just kind of started to read that, but this show just really touched me in terms of how wonderful the characters are. And so I know I can't wait for when it comes back for season 2, or I guess if you want to call it season 3. And yeah, it was by far my favorite show of the year. I'm guessing, Vinkman, you haven't seen this one.
Nope. It's not really my cup of tea. It looks too far out there in Fantasyland.
Oh, give it a try. I mean, the fantasy setting is the fantasy setting.
I love the action. I love
Yeah.
people dying, people, explosions. If it gets too girly for me, I kind of like I'm out.
Okay. Well, you may not like several of my choices here, but again, this is the great thing, and you know what I've come to realize: anime is not a genre. I'm not sure necessarily what you call it, because the wonderful thing about anime is whatever interests you have, whatever styles you like, whatever genres you like, there's an anime out there for you. And with the plethora of anime that is getting made every season, chances are there's probably going to be a show in that particular season.
There's thousands of subgenre, and of every subgenre, there's another subgenre of that genre.
Yeah, I mean, it's the equivalent of saying if anime is a genre, then television's a genre. It's really kind of the same thing.
Yep.
So to go along with that, probably wound up being my second favorite show was, I'm not even trying to pronounce the Japanese pronunciation. It's known as the Apothecary Diaries. So what's interesting for me, at least with the show, is I didn't start watching it last season at the beginning. I wound up checking it out only when I saw there was a meme going around where it's a short little GIF clip of her smacking somebody down. I was like, okay. And then I heard a couple people talk about it. I was like, and then I was bored one weekend and decided, okay, let me check this out. And I got sucked in pretty much by the end of the first episode, and I wound up marathoning the first, because I think at that point I was probably about 14 to 15 episodes behind, and I wound up marathoning those in about 4 days. So it's set in the time of Imperial Court. I believe it's in China. You have this character, Mao Mao. She's the daughter of an apothecary. She gets kidnapped by slavers and brought to the Imperial Court. She gets sold off. She starts out as a maid, and then a certain situation happens. And because of her skills as an apothecary, which basically means kind of like a pharmacist nowadays, and her knowledge of medicine, and she was able to save the child of the emperor. And so she gets taken into the court of one of the royal princesses, or I forget, consorts, and from there, and then it basically, each arc almost turns into kind of like a mystery story, and a little bit. So not necessarily like trying to solve murders, but it's just different kind of mysteries. And she's a very curious individual, but it's also a great example of, when we talk about, in our regular pop culture, TV, comics, what have you, looking for strong female characters. This is a great example of the type of strong female character that we're talking about. Nobody has to tell Mao Mao how great she is and build her up. She knows it. We get to see it on display, and it's fantastic to watch her act. It's a wonderful show. Totally recommend it. There's a little bit of humor in there, as I say. There's some really good drama. The last arc, we get to kind of learn the backstory of, because it turns out that she's really kind of the adopted daughter of the apothecary. And so we learn, basically kind of like who her father was, who her mother was, in the situation. And it also doesn't really shy away from necessarily how brutal that time period was. It was, oftentimes, we like to glamorize certain periods in history, and they don't do that here. It's a brutal life, even if you are on the kind of upper echelon, in higher portions of society. But it's a fantastic show. I think season 3, I think we might get it before 2025. So, any thoughts, Venkman?
Next.
So those were 2 continuing series. I'm going to highlight just a couple of others here. This one you can find on Netflix, Dungeon Meshi, or Delicious in Dungeon. Again, this was one that I just kind of came across one day when I was looking at in my Netflix and seeing if there was something I wanted to watch. And it's great. It's so much fun. It's again set in a fantasy kind of time period. What you have is this magical dungeon that basically people, it's almost like you kind of, sometimes for some people it's like clocking in and clocking out in terms of adventure. The idea is you go into the dungeon, you fight some monsters, you find some loot, you find some gold, you get out, and then you go, exchange that, make money, whatever, and then you go back in to, try and get more, or see if you can go deeper. And it turns out that this dungeon is created by, this mad magician, and what have you. And so what we have here is we get dumped into basically the middle of the story, where we start to follow this party, and they're tired, they're worn out, but they're trying to go. It's like, okay, we just need to go a little bit further and then we can stop. Well, like, in so many other things, that is the wrong decision. They come across a powerful dragon. It winds up eating one of their members of their party. They're able to escape, but they basically lose all their possessions. They get out of the dungeon, and they've got no cash. Their equipment is literally busted. But the person that's eaten. So one thing about the dungeon is that death isn't necessarily permanent. If you die in the dungeon, there are spells to resurrect you. You can pay a certain amount to get resurrected, or however. So in this case, what happens is the brother Laos wants to go back in because he wants to save his sister, who's the one that got eaten, from a permanent death. Because at a certain point it does become permanent, but they believe that, well, if we get there in time, we can save her. We can get her out of the. We can defeat the dragon and rescue her. But the party is basically like, I don't want to. Several members of the party leave because they're like, hey, we can't do this. We don't have money. We don't have equipment. Good luck. 2 members of the party stick with him. One of them being basically Fallon, who's the one that gets eaten, best friend. And they start going in the dungeon, go back in the dungeon. And, they realize, well, what are we going to do for food, after a couple days? And lo and behold, their salvation. The best character is Senshi, this dwarven warrior who basically makes his living down in the dungeon, and he cooks the defeated monsters.
It's Gordon Ramsay.
Yes.
That's what when I saw this on Netflix. I didn't watch it, but I saw the trailer. I was like, this is like Gordon Ramsay mixed with like what was the other one? When they get thrown into the game.
It starts with the G, and I'm blanking on it right now, but I know.
Well, not talking about not Gods.
Not Gantz.
Yeah, this was the other one. Oh crap! Where the 4 friends are thrown into this. It's not Digimon either. I forget what it's called, but it was like came out in mid 2000s. I gotta look it up again.
You're not talking about Sword Art Online.
Yeah, that thing.
Oh, okay.
That's reminded me of that Sword Art Online. Another show I haven't watched, but I've seen trailers for. Like I said, I was like, this is like, weird. Like they're eating in a dungeon. I'm like, Mariko Tamaki has entered Netflix.
Yeah, well, I joked with somebody earlier that this is the anime that Mariko Tamaki would make, uh, but it's so much better than anything that she's possibly written. Again, what I love is the characters. Um, you see the four main characters here. Laos is the one in the top left. He's kind of the knight, the soldier style. Marcel is the elfin mage. Here you've got Chilhuk, who's kind of your rogue, the guy who identifies the traps and helps them kind of avoid them, and then Senshi, who basically becomes an integral part of their team.
I'll say he looks like the Pidge of Voltron.
Yeah,
He's a little guy.
you could kind of say that a grown up Pidge. Yeah, but it has turned out to just be a wonderful anime. At least for me, who enjoys food. Part of it is just seeing the creative uses of the different monsters and creatures that they wind up killing. And Senshi goes, "Oh, I've got a recipe for this," and whips something up. And usually in the case, Marcel is horrified at it, and then she takes a bite and goes, "Oh my god, this is great!" And then and dives in.
I'm surprised they didn't do the trope where he just adds everything. This one grade is everything. He's over, and it's too much.
Yeah, but it's fantastic. If you're familiar with the Studio Trigger, it's a Trigger show. It's top tier Trigger show. I would put it up there with Little Witch Academia, Gurren Lagann, some of the other great Trigger shows. And so they've done the first 12 episodes, and my understanding is actually the second part is supposed to start up either end of this week or next week. And I'm hoping that applies to Netflix. And I want to compliment Netflix because Netflix hasn't really started getting to anime, and they have listened to the fans. Because when Netflix first started getting some exclusive licenses on shows, they were doing the old Netflix thing where they were waiting until the show or that particular season run was complete. Yeah. And then a month or two later, they would release the entire thing. Yeah. And so for fans that, didn't necessarily want to do pirate stuff, you were having to wait 3 months after everybody else did the show.
And I hear you about that. I mean, and one show they're still doing that is Demon Slayer.
Yeah. But I mean that may also be something contractual, because I mean I know like you can watch Demon Slayer week to week on Crunchyroll and things like that.
It's a proper IP. No.
Yeah, but all credit to Netflix for this, because they have been releasing Dungeon Denshi weekly. And
they've been doing that with some shows too as well on there, not just the anime, but I know it's live action too as well. And yeah, I like that style, because that's what we saw over on Amazon Prime's been doing that with other shows.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as much as I love binging, I just want to watch it. So, but I also hate we had to wait. Oh, I gotta wait another freaking week. But yeah. I just wish they would do more 26 episodes instead of this 10 episodes for Demon Slayer.
Oh, well, I don't know with Demon Slayer. The typical orders that you'll see is either 12, 13, or if it's going to double up, it'll be like 24. And then
I'm just used to cartoons being 24, original anime is like 24, 28.
Yeah, but I mean, for the most part, I would say standard is usually about 12. In a season, because that way it kind of fits that 3-month schedule that everything seems to fall into. But yeah, this was definitely a pleasant surprise to find, and as I say again, congrats to Netflix for actually doing the right thing. So moving on, the other one that I really wanted to highlight was probably my favorite isekai show for the season.
No Mashigara.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or the wrong way to use healing magic.
See, English is always better.
Yeah, so this one turned out to be fun. I remember reading the synopsis and going like, okay, this sounds like could be cool, it could be dumb, fun, kind of cool. As it says, Usato, ordinary high schooler, he gets accidentally sucked in because he happens to be walking home one day after school with two of the most popular, with basically the student council president and her assistant, and they're the ones who are actually being summoned to the world. He just happened to be there, and he got sucked into it. And they're deemed to be heroes. And so the first two that were summoned, of course, basically go off to, become, trained as, heroes with, swords and magic. And, Usato here, thinks, oh, I'm just kind of getting shuttled off. But it turns out he's got this rare healing magic, and he gets taken under the wing by Rose, who, as it says, the intimidating captain of the kingdom's rescue team, takes custody of him. The first few episodes have him undergoing just an absolutely insane, rigorous training. But it all leads up to the fact of building up his skills, making him OP. And then in the second half of the show, we really get to see him use those powers. We get to see him grow in confidence. I appreciated that his whining was kind of kept to a minimum. But he saw this as a new opportunity to be, somebody, because, he was just, your anonymous, high schooler, in, I'll call it our world. And here he gets to become something else. And what was really interesting about this show was the rescue team idea itself was, the group of individuals whose job was to, basically, when a battle was raging, and in this case, again, you have another battle against a demon lord and his armies coming. But this rescue team, their primary focus was to save people, save soldiers on the front line, to pull them out before they get killed or seriously wounded, and then heal them. And the idea was to basically minimize prevent as many deaths as possible. And you learn basically about 2/3 of the way through the show of why Rose comes up with the idea of this rescue team. There's some really touching moments in it. Again, it runs the gamut in terms of the emotions of, there's a lot of good humor, not slapstick necessarily kind of stuff, good relationship building, a really good kind of middle arc of the season, and the last couple episodes set up what the future is, and I'm really looking forward to season 2. It exceeded my expectations of being more than just some dumb fun show to watch to pass the time.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely.
And that's how it became my show, because he clicked the wrong button. Welcome back there, traveler.
Yeah. God dang it, I hit the wrong.
I knew it.
This is what happens when you're using multiple screens and you're a boomer like I am. I hit the back button on my mouse and
I knew it.
Shut myself out. So I apologize. So quickly wrapping up here with the season, I'm just going to kind of group 3 of these shows together. You have this one here. Basically, it's Loop 7 of, I think, what is it called? Loop 7 of, where's the English title? Yeah. Villainess of the Seventh Time Loop. Wants to enjoy her free time. You have this level 99 boss show, and then Elise in the lamp. In all 3 of these shows, well, I'll say this one here, the level 99, was kind of more of your typical isekai type show. It's a girl basically wakes up, finds out that she is died and gotten sucked into basically an RPG that she's played before, so she knows all the characters, and it turns out, oh my god, I'm in the role of the villain. And so she wants to change the story. And it's not bad. It's fun. The other 2, they call them time travel, but in each case, what you have is you have the character who was basically, horrible situation in life, winds up dying. And in the case of Riche here in the Loop 7, she basically dies, goes back to the point where she gets jilted from the person that she's supposed to marry, and decides and chooses a different life path. But then basically 5 years after that, she dies, and then it goes back to the loop again. And so here we're seeing her on her 7th loop, where she winds up basically making a deal with a kind of a new fiance who was the guy who actually initiated a war in kind of a world war that is responsible for killing her the previous 6 times. And she's going through, and of course she has all the knowledge from that, and her whole goal is trying to prevent this, and trying to help the guy see the good. It's a good show. I really enjoyed it a lot. The last one down here, Elise. So this is one where she was terrible. She's basically a villainess, more or less. She becomes the fiance of the prince, who becomes basically king when his father dies. Again, long story short, war happens. She winds up getting killed because the other side wins. She gets reincarnated, basically, I'll call it, into our world, and realizes what a horrible person she was. And so she grows up, becomes a doctor, becomes a very skilled surgeon, is going off to a conference. Her plane crashes. She helps some people. She dies because of her entries in the crash, and wakes up back at the point where she was going to become the fiance for the prince. And again, she has all that prior knowledge, and she realizes how awful a person she was in the past. She doesn't want to make the same mistake. And instead, she's determined to use her medical knowledge to basically improve the society. And so again, it's another, and in both of these, again, it's another example of what I enjoy in terms of strong female characters without having to be told, not having to be handheld, not the stuff that we see in American comics in terms of their definition of strong female characters. So, yes, it's kind of girly shows. Undead Quinn, it's shows I enjoy. I'm not gonna apologize for it. They were good dumb fun shows. So I know you talked about, you've been watching Ninja Kamui. Did you want to mention that one at all?
Yeah, it's been a really fun show. They've already done 7 episodes so far. Very, very violent, and very let's just say it's the basic synopsis is that he's a former elite assassin. He and his wife, along with this other guy, were the top 3 contenders. They learned the secret technique, and one day would take over the clan. But then the old man who was running the clan dies. One of the subordinate generals, those are the masters over basically, had different plans. He wanted to bring it into a more modern age, so he killed everybody who disagreed with him. And so, with the help of technology to hide their face, him and his wife, they fled. They had to have a kid. They lived in rural America, only for them to be discovered. And he watches his wife and his son killed before his eyes. So now he just wants revenge. And with the aid now of cybernetic technology, now the ninjas are basically, the modern ones are using cybernetic armor, basically, with them, and it is just fantastic. The music, the intro is awesome, is just as well. As you can see, it's got an 8.10. Deservedly, it deserves it. Man. I'm not trying to give way too much more. I mean, it shows you right there, but I'm not sure how much that's actually spoiling it, because there is more in here. But it just fits, man. The theme song, is but pain basically wash away, about the rain. He doesn't care about his life. He just wants to get revenge on the people that killed his 10-year-old son, who was all like, in like, oh, I love the Shogun anime, Dad. I want to be just like himself. And he's like, his son was innocent, and as it goes on, you learn more about his time in the organization and about the evil cybernetic company, basically being like you took like Steve Jobs or Apple, and they joined with the League of Assassins. And then now they have new technology and stuff, and yeah, it's been fun. You got the detective is also looking into the murder of stuff, everything going on, and you got this guy Joe Higgin, he's last of his kind, other than his once friend who is on the bad guy side, because the whole point was that when they became the elite ninjas, they were not supposed to show emotion, but he ended up saving the girl, and they fell in love, and they've left. So, like I said, it's just complete revenge, a lot of blood, a lot of violence, a lot of angst, pain, and especially when the guy, he's constantly tormented by, he sees like the vision of his wife being killed. Which is pretty brutal, and thing with his son. So I mean, if you're squeamish, I wouldn't check it out, because it's kind of like a Wolverine thing in a sense. Where
I've watched a few episodes. This one I need to catch back up on. I know that first episode really does take you on a huge roller coaster of emotions. I was gonna say, if you like this one, there is a similar storyline from a show, at least probably a couple seasons ago. Now, difference is, instead of being a grown-up guy, it's a normal guy, normal high school kid, thinks his normal family, but it's just his mom and him. She runs a grocery store, and circumstances happen, and it turns out that actually he's he is the son of a ninja clan, and that there's all these secret ninja clans in modern day Japan, and his mom is actually the head of the clan.
Is that the Michelle Yao movie?
No, this is an anime.
Because that's actually the same thing too. Yeah. So I don't know if it's like this. Like the thing about this anime, it's not based off a manga. It's adapted from other properties.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's why it sounds familiar with the other one. But yeah, I mean, I kind of don't do the isekai fantasy stuff. Like the closest I got was Inuyasha. I mainly like the mobile suits, or the kaiju stuff. Like I said, like we'll be talking about one of those coming up soon.
Yeah.
I love the slapstick humor though, but I also love like the action, the heroes versus villains. So.
Yeah. Well, last one I guess I'll mention here, quickly. What is Maojo here? I know I mentioned the fact, that one of the shows that brought me back to anime was Witch Hunter Robin. I found this show. It's the English title is Witch and the Beast. It has some similar beats and style to it that I found in Witch Hunter Robin. Here you've got this pair. She over here was cursed by a witch, and her whole thing is she's on this revenge quest to try and find the witch that cursed her, to basically reverse the curse and get her life back. Mm-hmm. This guy is a mage working for something called the Order of Magical Resonance. They deal with everything connected to magic, and so basically the show is them kind of going through like various cases and solving problems, and there's also the underlying one of trying to find this lead witch.
You know what she reminds you of? This reminds you of Hellsing, and she's police girl.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, if you want to say that too, there's definitely some kind of beats in there with Hellsing. And so it was one where I'd watched the first couple episodes. I was like, it's all right, and basically as I kind of finished up the other ones, I was just, looking, watch. I was like, okay, let me check back in on this one. And
that's
really kind of enjoyed the second and third arcs, and basically, watched like the last half dozen episodes in the last 2 days.
that's how I got into Demon Slayer. I was like, oh, really? You know, everybody's murdering, like, you know, the first episode, and I'm like, okay, watch this. And I was like, by the third one, I was like, dude, I need to keep watching this because I
Yeah.
was kind of iffy on the second one until the ending. I was like, dang it. trying to cut down on I got to balance reading comic books and TV and movies. And I got so I said I try not to peruse too much and stuff, because then I'll go from like, oh, I'm watching 2 shows, now I'm watching 10 shows.
Yeah. Well, again, the nice usual thing about anime is they're about 22 to 28 minutes a piece.
I know, but they add up though when you're watching 10 animes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, they definitely do. So before we leave winter 2024, so again, these are shows that interested me. I wound up watching more or less the entire thing. So there are definitely going to be some shows that were very popular this past season that I have not watched or caught up with, because I know Undead Quinn here was mentioning about the Unwanted Undead Adventurer. No, this is not that show. I'm not sure if I even watched one episode of that one yet. I know another real popular one, because I know that I think Undead Quinn here mentioned that you might like Solo Leveling. That's supposed to be.
I looked into it.
Action show for this winter season.
I looked into it. I hate dungeon crawl adventures.
Well, I didn't think Solo Leveling was a dungeon crawl.
It looks like it's more into the fantasy medieval stuff. I'm like, yeah.
Okay, I thought it was more modern, but
yeah.
So let's turn to spring of 2024. So again, there is a plethora of shows, and it's one other thing too. The output of shows now has just increased exponentially. I think there's probably like 40 plus shows, starting and debuting here in April. But I kind of went through the list. These are the ones that interest me. Certainly, there's going to be other big ones. I know there's a new season of My Hero Academia, which again, if you're looking for something that's going to give you, kind of an old school Marvel feel to it, definitely watch My Hero Academia. I'm way behind on it. I've kind of read more the manga, the manga side of it. But yeah, so at some point I'll catch up with that. But these are shows.
I would just quickly tell you to drop everything else and then go watch that. Because oh my gosh, that last season I was talking to Action Comics about there. So I was like, I'd watch it. Then he watched. He's like, oh my gosh, why did I wait so long?
Yeah. So yeah, Jim's asking, what's a plethora? A plethora is a ton. Is a lot of stuff usually. So quickly to kick this off. You can see here the top 3 shows I'm looking forward to here in spring. We're getting finally the 3rd season of Konosuba. This is such a fun, just comedic. This is the best comedy isekai running out there. You've got the lead character whose name now I'm suddenly blanking on. I know this is Aqua. Darkness, Megami, who everybody loves. She's the mage who has one spell. she knows how to make a gigantic exploding fireball. And the Darknesses are night type, but she's not very good in a fight. And then Aqua is the ex goddess who got sucked into the isekai. When the guy said, well, join me. And so, here we go. Kazuma. Yeah, that's it. He was the one who died. The first 2 seasons were just a ton of fun. Neat little kind of, subverting your expectations in a good way in terms of some of the fantasy genre, the hijinks that they get up to. It's just a really fun show, and I'm so glad that we're getting a 3rd season here, because I think the 2nd season, it's got to be at least 2 years since I think season 2, maybe longer. we're getting the part 2 of season 2 here of Mushu Tensei, which has been a fantastic show. Again, another isekai type show. Basically, a salaryman who winds up dying, makes a deal with kind of sort of a god, winds up getting reincarnated into this feudal era style fantasy world. He knows who he is, winds up having some magic powers, and then it kind of just goes from there. And there's a climactic thing that happens in season 1 where there's this devastating kind of magical explosion that throws him and the person that he's trying to train far, far away from his world. And so you had part of that season where he's basically, his whole goal was trying to get back to the land that he was born in. And then, finding out along the way, the damage that's been wrought. The second half of part 2, so he basically, one of the running jokes in season 1 was because he's basically an old guy in a teenager's body, he was always eyeing the ladies, and finally at the end of season 1, he finally had sex with a girl he was pining over, and then she basically, he wakes up and she's gone, and she leaves a note saying how she needs to go on her own, that she needs to to rebuild, because she came from kind of the royal side of the family, or certainly high elite status, and so he's kind of devastated, and he's on his own. At the same time, let's say he has a problem getting it up. So long story short, I mean, the end of the arc in part 1 of season 1 finds him at magical school, and unbeknownst to him, somebody that he knew from his life in the land he grew up in winds up in the magical school, as well as a protector to a princess. And finally, at the end, the final episode of part 1 is he finally recognizes who she is, and then you get the touching scene, and his problem is solved, shall we say? So,
the touching scene. He says.
Yeah. So we will
more sex.
Yeah. So we will. So I'm looking forward to part 2. Again, this is based off a pretty fairly lengthy manga at this point.
It always weirds me out when he's pining after one guy's playing an anime girl, and then they all look the same, and there's not one that's fat.
Well, of course. Why would he be pining after a fat one?
I'm just saying he could just choose the next girl who walks down the road because she's as pretty as the last one.
Yeah, yeah. So and then in terms of new shows, this is one that definitely a lot of people were talking about. This is Kaiju number 8. I started reading the manga when it came out last year. It is basically blown up on Shonen Jump. It got basically fast tracked almost immediately into an anime, and so we're getting season 1 this season. And it started out interesting, and I liked initially the perspective. If you ever read Damage, I think it's Damage Control from Marvel, it kind of starts out that way, where you've got kind of our era or our level of technology, so to speak, in this world, but there's kaiju out there, and so our lead character Kafka winds up as part of a crew called Sweepers, and their job basically is designed to clean up the kaiju after the battles are over. And I'm looking forward to the first couple episodes to see that part, because when I was reading the manga, I was like, I really like this story. I want to see this kind of story about, this crew that has to go and clean up after all of these battles, 'cause that would be
Basically,
a
the
really
damage
interesting twist.
control version
Yeah,
of this era. Or,
yeah. But essentially, what happens is he winds up swallowing this bug from the
well,
kaiju, and
it sounds more like the description that says it basically it forces its way into his mouth.
yeah.
That's I'm thinking aliens.
Uh, no, I don't recall it being that violent. It was like he was doing something and his mouth was open and it just like flew right in. And he swallows it, and through the parasite basically turns him into a humanoid monster, basically a kaiju. And
Ultraman, right?
yeah, a little bit. I mean, there's some aspects of that. And so now he gets this choice of joining the Defense Corps, which he always wanted to do, and use his abilities to now fight the kaiju. And I'm looking forward to the anime because one of the problems I did have with the manga, and this happens for me, is sometimes it's hard for me to kind of read and decipher what's going on in some of the fight scenes. I mean, the artwork, may look great, but it's so busy that I have a difficult time sometimes trying to figure out, okay, what exactly is going on.
This, we were wondering, this will be dropping around April 13th.
Yeah. So I think next week is the first episode. So I'm really looking forward to that aspect to see what the fight scenes, the big battle scenes look like in the anime. So, and so I know based on what you said, I think that's one that you'll probably really
sounds more intriguing me. Like you said, kaiju's a guy and who basically is putting up a girl. Only to find out he turns to a giant monster, and now he has to like help save the day, but also keep his identity secret. And I just think of the first thing he's like, well, it's a parasite thing. It's altering his DNA. How long before he becomes a truly monster and loses his, like how dark is it gonna get?
So quickly to touch on a couple other shows that piqued my curiosity that I'll be checking out in this season. This bartender Camino Glass sounds really intriguing. Basic backstory of it is kind of like this, quiet bar tucked away, and this bartender has the knack or ability to make whatever drink you need at that point in time. And so it sounds a lot like a kind of a slice of life in terms of somebody comes in, we hear about their problems. The guy makes a drink in it, kind of figure out, it helps you figure out, what your next step is or where you need to go. So we'll see. I've seen the trailer. It looks pretty gorgeous. So checking it out. This was a dumb fun one that just came across. The first episode came out on yesterday, or I watched it yesterday. Kami guy. Whatever, frick. The English title is the ultimate battle of the gods or something. Basically, we've got this new world now where we have supreme gods. They've got too much free time on their hands. They created games to play against the humans. So you've got the society of people that get nominated to play games. This one god is found frozen in a block of ice and awakens, and she wants to play games. And guy who has basically become like one of the top game players gets summoned to be her caretaker essentially, and they're gonna have a good time playing games. So it looks like a dumb fun one. We'll see how far it goes. You can see, so far after one episode, people are giving it a 6.4. So it'll probably be in that, okay range. I know that some people are going to be interested in this one here. Where's the English title? I, the Demon Lord, took a slave elf as my wife, but how do I love her? Or an Archdemon's Dilemma, how to love your elf wife. So again, if you liked uh, Rise of the Shield Hero, this one might be up your alley. As it says, sorcerer decides to participate in an auction selling the goods of a now dead archdemon. He expects to find items. Instead, he finds a rare white-haired slave elf. He spends all his money to purchase her. And the secret reason why he did it is because he's fallen in love with her at first sight. Of course, he's socially inept, but she basically winds up falling in love with him. I know there's something, I think, because this is based off of manga, I believe, that I think this one has at some point, where she could take off the slave collar, but she chooses not to because it shows how much he loves her, sort of thing. So we'll see how that one goes. And then you got some isekais. One other one, as I was scrolling through, that I'm actually really curious in.
I was going to ask about that one.
Which one?
I was going to ask you about that because it reminds me of Pole Position.
Yeah, well, a little bit. And what's interesting about this is in the fall season, in the end of 2023, there were actually 2 racing animes. One was the sequel to Initial D that I never thought I would get or needed. That was a ton of fun to watch. And then there was also, I think it was Overdrive, which was kind of a Formula 2, Formula 3 story about a struggling team, with a young driver and all this, that were both good. And it's like, and I'm always been kind of a racing fan. Again, as I say, one of the earliest animes that I watched was Speed Racer. And so reading this, synopsis, I'm like, oh, another racing anime. This sounds good. And so this is more of a near future, new kind of race cars. It reminds me a little bit of, there was a TV show probably got at this point like 10 years ago that kind of had a similar thing, had, the ability of race cars doing loop-de-loops and all kinds of weird stuff that I know was semi-popular back then. So it sounds interesting. So, again, I'll probably wind up, finding myself, watching another, half dozen to 10 shows this season, because I think that the output continues to be. Is there anything you're looking forward to so far?
Have you seen the Fable? Yeah.
I marked it because when I was looking through the my anime list, it sounds interesting. I'm curious to see if it'll go more into a kind of comedy side, or if they try to play it straight.
This is going to be on Hulu, where you can watch it April 6th. Master Assassin to do when they're ordered to go undercover and not kill anybody for an entire year. Well, they'll just have to get a bit creative now, won't they? Based on Katsuhima Minami's popular action manga, The Fable is produced by Tezuka Productions and directed by Ryusuke Takahashi, Armored Trooper of Odoms, as he's known for. It's basically adapted into 2 live action films, both which were on Netflix. Oh. So it looks interesting. Yeah. I'm looking at that. And then I just saw they're doing GT again, Dragon Ball GT, but they're calling it something different. Did you see that come out this winter? Dragon Ball Daima, where basically everyone gets shrunk down to kid size, de-aged. Why are you doing that? Did you not learn from GT, where people said this is garbage?
Yeah.
Oh my god. So that's coming out. I saw that. I might, because Dragon Ball, I might watch because it's the kid version of Vegeta.
Yeah. See, I have to admit, I'm sorry. I've never been a big Naruto fan. I've never been a Dragon Ball fan. I was a Bleach fan for a time until it seemed like every episode was filler. Yeah. And I just drifted away from it. That was one that I definitely watched on Toonami back in the day.
I'm watching Rurouni Kenshin right now, the 2023 reboot. It's just still ongoing. It's actually been fun. It's currently airing right now. You guys can watch. But as far as upcoming anime, I was going through. There's one called I'm on another site right now looking at stuff. Windbreaker. It's going to go to Crunchyroll April 4th, tomorrow. It's a martial arts action anime adapted from Satoru Nii's manga series. It centers on Haruko Sakura, a boorish first-year high school student who was only interested in being the strongest kid around. After starting at a notorious school known for degenerates who routinely get in the brawls, he learns that the delinquents at his school aren't just common punks. They're actually secretly fighting a battle to protect their town from anyone who wish to harm. He doesn't care about that. He just wants to be the strongest. So I'm like, I love those kind of things, right? The high school kind of like things fighting.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it actually looks like the sources of web manga. So there you go. something
I know.
different.
Well, there are some cool web mangas that have been popping up. I mean, look, there's a live action. They did that for what was it called? Eat something. Oh crap. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. But it was on Netflix, and about basically everybody starts turning into monsters. I forget what it's called though. But anyway, but yeah, there's quite a few I'm looking forward to. I mean, just going through it. I want to watch that sci-fi racing high speed Toil or Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Looks kind of cool. Fable. Then and apparently the Black Butler is coming back again with another arc.
Yeah, or at least I think that one's going over to Netflix, I believe. Yeah.
It's on Crunchyroll.
Okay. Well, I know that Netflix made an announcement too about.
Yeah,
so,
and then
you've got a new season of Data Live. There's going to be a women's bicycle racing manga. I mean, that's why or anime. I mean, that's why I tell you, whatever interest, whatever hobby you have, there is an anime or a manga out there at some point for you. I know there's a baseball anime. Yeah, here it is, Boiku Battery. I'm not sure if I'm going to watch it or not. The synopsis didn't sound great, but I could check it out. I mean, I didn't think I was.
There's a band tournament one, but they're ex lovers. They're in a band and they're going to win a band tournament. That's the whole synopsis.
Yeah.
The many. It was at the. That one's called Sound Euphonium season. They're in season 3. It's I just saw though they also released a sequel to Gundam. What was it? Gundam Seed Destiny. Mm-hmm. So that apparently got an update as well.
Yeah. Well, as I say, here at the start of May is your 7th season of Boku no Hero Academia or My Hero Academia, which is
yes.
That's what everybody calls it.
The next Demon Slayer comes out too as well. Both of their dude. I watched My Hero Academia. I was like, oh my god, there's so much crying in this. When is it going to stop? And then I get past it. I was like, it's awesome. It's what Marvel should be. And then with Demon Slayer, I was like, oh my gosh, this kid's gonna cry every single time too. I was like, what is this trope with the main hero crying? But I stuck with them, and they become my favorite animes. Because originally, Zach, I remember a couple of years ago, he had joined my Extreme Movie Show. We were talking about that. I was like, we're looking forward to TV coming out, and he's like, well, can I include anime? Sure, whatever. And he's got like Rise of the Shield Hero, and then he's got he was doing Spy X Family was his other one. He had to talk about that. Yeah. And then Demon Slayer. I was like, what the hell is there's just so many. Except there's the subgenre is like crazy. There's probably over 1,000 different animes you can watch, and they're all completely different. They might be somewhat similar, but they're totally different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've all got a slight twist. So finish off with this. I know somebody mentioned this in the early beginning of the chat. Finally, here in the U.S., this came out in December in Japan and other parts of the world, but we're finally getting the U.S. release here starting April 19th. You can watch it. Go to your theaters, folks, if you haven't gone to a pirate site and see it. And I purposely haven't because I wanted to see it in person on the big screen. Is the new Spy Family movie, Code White. It's an all-new adventure. It's not a story adapted from the manga. For those not familiar with a Spy Family, it's set, let's call it almost, it's like East and West Germany a little bit. And so you've got Lloyd, who is this superstar, do everything spy. His job is to, go into the enemy country and learn certain secrets from the guy who's the defense minister, who's super hard to get close to. The only opportunity he's going to have to get close to it is his son is going to Eden Academy. And so his first job is, well, I've got to create a family in order to get there. And of course, he winds up getting together with this woman who, unbeknownst to him, works as an assassin for that country, and then comes across and basically selects and finds this orphan girl who, unknown to him, had through some medical experiments, shall we say, has kind of some like psychic ability. She can kind of read people's minds or thoughts a little bit, and they wind up kind of coalescing kind of as a family and just doing fun spy stuff. And it's been great. I've read it since the manga started coming out on the Shonen Jump app. And look forward to it, every couple of weeks or whenever the latest issue drops.
One of the few mangas that I see popping up at Walmart on shelves.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's
how popular it is. It's
Yeah. Well, it's one of those. It's one of the properties where it hits a sweet spot in terms of there's things to appeal to it for a younger audience. There's things to appeal to it for a more mature audience, people like myself,
like Miami Vice.
Yeah, it's set in a kind of a European setting, so it's not off-putting for people who may necessarily have problems with
so Europeans and Americans,
a foreign country, or for people like you who don't like fantasy settings.
Well, I know I dipped out after the second episode. Zach's like, how can you hate this? As I'm like, well, how can you like One Piece?
Oh yeah, how could you dip out after two?
Because I discovered Demon Slayer, and I was like, this is so much better.
Well, we might agree to disagree on that one, but yeah. So that kind of wraps it up here. That's what I'm looking forward to. Kind of my review of the past season, and looking forward to for 2024.
Apparently, Arcane's getting a second season come out in November, and on Netflix. If you ever heard of that, that's based off.
I have it. I know it's well regarded. It's one I have not caught up with.
It's League of Legends, basically the story of Jinx, and then I forgot what the other girl's name is. Supposed to be grabbing it. It's been a while since I watched it, but yes, there is a little bit of wokeism in there because one of the girls is a lesbian. But you know what? It doesn't really distract me because it's not like, hey, I'm Alex Danvers. I know I'm gay.
Yeah. Well, again, it's just because a woman's a lesbian doesn't necessarily make it woke. It's all about how it's written.
And that's why I pointed out, because if somebody says, oh, there's lesbians in it, oh, I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
It's not, they're not shoehorned in there just because it is. No, but you want to see a woke show? Go watch that Castlevania crap they released.
Well,
the new one.
Well, you got to be specific in terms of the spinoff or the last season of it, and that's primarily because Warren Ellis is not involved in it.
Yes,
I'll flat out say that the reason why the first 3 seasons of Castlevania were so good.
It was 4 seasons actually, but
yeah. Well, thing is, I'm not sure how much involvement he had in season 4 because he got Me Too. But Warren Ellis, one of my favorite comic book writers, spearheaded that show basically, and that's why it was so good. But yeah, so that kind of wraps it up here. We'll try and get out of here within 90 minutes. I know Jim Sorensen mentions that Kakaguri season 3 is going to come out next year. Again, it's one of those things where they can lose momentum, depending on how long it takes. But I know that's been a pretty popular property. I think both the anime, and then Netflix had a live action version of at least I think the first season of that. And so for those of you not sure about Kakegurui, it's basically your gambling gambling story. It's a story about an elite high school academy. Your popularity, your status is all based on your gambling ability. And once you've basically risked it all and lost, then you basically became a slave to somebody else. And so the story is this kind of strange girl comes into the academy. Nobody knows a lot about her. She starts basically risking it all on these games and has a point. And the gambling games are insane, over the top games that are just totally bonkers. And I mean, at least in the anime, I've not seen the live action, but definitely in the anime, you know, when they show her basically almost like losing control, when she's gambling, it's just over the top insanity, which you get in a lot of anime. So
I am wearing my anime shirt. Deku.
Oh, Deku, nice.
So you haven't seen that's from the last season.
Yeah.
So when he actually puts it on, he goes like a little bit dark Deku, a little bit. I was like, oh my gosh, like.
Okay, poser.
No, I poser. It's one. I don't really buy as much anime shirts as I used to.
Yeah.
You know, I have a lot of Dragon Ball ones.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Dragon Ball Z stuff,
Yeah.
Gaunt's stuff.
Yeah. So,
mainly because I'm turning 40, and it's like, why is that grown man wearing anime shirts? Hey, hello, fellow anime kids.
Yeah, I mean, I will say though, I think that, you know, again, that's one of the things about anime is, you know, you could see it in some of the titles, you know, that were mentioned, especially like, you know, Ninja, you know, Kamui. There are some very, very adult themes and adult titles, you know, in anime that, I mean, should appeal to people that are in their 30s or 40s and their 50s and so on. I mean, if it's, you know.
And like Ninja Kamui is nothing really new. It's broad. It's an idea has been done before. It's just that this time you have cybernetic ninjas wearing Iron Man armors or something like that.
Well,
but the story of revenge, your whole family's killed, and now you want revenge. Mm-hmm. It's Kill Bill.
Yeah, I mean, Kill Bill, John Wick. I mean, it falls in all
blood.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, great stuff. So again, you know, thanks for being here. This may or may not turn out to be, you know, like a regular show. You know, it may come back, you know, next week and, you know, talk about what we've seen so far, or do something different. Please, you know, leave comments in there. Leave comments on what you've liked so far in 2024, what you're looking forward to.
I was gonna say, if it turns a regular show, it's gonna be this, or I'm just gonna be like, it's the LK show where he talks for 90 minutes, and then I'm like, "Hey, I'm here, guys."
Yeah. Well, we'll see. You know, we'll expand the guest roster, so it's not just me talking here.
We'll rotate the guests too. Each week, there's someone else.
Yeah, but as I say, I mean, it's been fun here, spending 90 minutes, talking positively about something that. About shows that I love, shows that I had a good time watching, and not getting into all the negative stuff going on in comics and television. I mean, even, some of the, even the story I saw, an hour before we went on, in terms of just another dumb decision by Disney Marvel, but we'll save that for another
story. If you want another positive channel to watch, Geeky Puppet Show, within an hour. So an hour basically over at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. Puppetine and Froggy will talking about the latest episode of X-Men 97.
Oh, good. I need to watch that. I'll probably do that after I hop off here. But
it's only 30 minutes, and it's very. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed the first three so far. It's one of those where I can understand where people have had issues with it. It hasn't bothered me because I've been able to just kind of set that aside and enjoy it for what it is.
I like the fact that they're actually pulling from actual stories from actual comic books and kind of putting them together. Like the last one, they had a couple different stories together, but it was actually done with respect. So,
Yeah. And Undead Quinn, yeah, you can just wear that shirt in private.
I want you to come on here with your neck beard and wear your shirts.
Yeah, that is a show that came out this past season, and we won't talk about here. It's interesting. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, I'm just saying, man, I'm not questioning anybody who watches how it turned into a slime, whatever the heck it is. I mean, it's like I said, niche content. Somebody likes it.
Yeah,
and they couldn't like it.
Yeah. Well, no, I haven't. No, see, I haven't watched that time I got reincarnated as a slime. But I've heard very, very good things about it in the story. I did watch one where it was I've been killing slimes for 300 years, and now I'm OP, and that turned out to be a really cute, fun show. Again, it was kind of an isekai where you had this burned out salary woman, almost basically essentially dies at her office, and wakes up in this fantasy world. And it's like, oh wow, it's carefree. I've got no job. I've got no responsibilities. I can just hang out in my little cottage. And then, she goes out, just one day, kind of, killing slimes, and that's all she kills. And 300 years, 300 years goes by, and turns out she's this super OP.
I will say this:
magical person.
3 years ago, there was an anime that came out, and it went over for one season, and sadly, the main actor died of cancer last year. It's called The 86.
Oh yes, yeah.
Check that out. That's more of my style, like that, like stuff like that.
Yeah. But, so good stuff. So, hey, thanks for hanging out with me, RDV. I appreciate it.
Thanks for letting me listen.
Well, you just gotta watch. You just gotta watch more stuff in season. That's all. But yeah, as I said, it's fun. It's fun talking, fun sharing. So hope the folks here enjoyed it. Again, hit the like button, subscribe, stay updated, and we'll be back next time because I'm not sure there's going to be an auction Friday or Saturday. So we'll see what we'll see what the schedule holds. As E is on assignment, and we'll see what happens when he gets his new
assignment. I locked him on his channel.
So thanks, everybody. Have a great night. We'll talk again.
Later, guys.